Hello everyone, this is Jay Wengro, and welcome to Think Like a Software Engineer, Episode 10. In this episode, I am going to show you how a software engineer might tackle learning something new, such as a new programming language. In this episode, I'm going to learn and teach myself a little bit of the programming language called Rust. I've just heard of Rust before. I've never actually looked at it or used it. So this is going to be a totally unscripted video where I am going to try to teach myself Rust for the very first time. So the first thing I'm going to do is Google Rust programming language. It looks like someone has Googled that before. So we have a couple of links. We have rustlang.org is the first link. So that looks like the official website for the Rust programming language. It looks like the second link is a sub-page of Rustlang that has some sort of book. That's probably going to be a useful resource. We have the third link, rustlang.org learn, all part of that first website. We have a Wikipedia article, then a comparison of how Rust compares to other languages, a Medium thing, and some videos. Let's start with rustlang.org. That seems like the best place to start. So we see Rust empowering everyone to build reliable and efficient software. That's a nice promise. Why Rust? Talks about why it's good, but I just want to start playing around with it. So that's really one of the key tools of a software engineer, is that they know how to just start playing around with stuff. That is often the best way to learn something. Instead of reading a whole book on Rust from cover to cover, we can actually just start playing around with it. So yes, there is a book, and I may have to refer to it, but I'd rather just get started. And there is a Get Started button. So the first thing we have to do is install Rust. You can try Rust online in the Rust Playground without installing anything on your computer. So that's pretty cool. Maybe let's start there. So it brings me to this website, play.rustlang.org. So there's some Rust code here. There's a run button, which will probably run it. And it says compiling playground, finish dev, blah, blah, blah. And we have this standard output, hello world. So being familiar with other languages and the way they work, often you can run code and then see output that is a result of that code. So this code here on the left produces this result on the right. So this code, these 3 lines of code here are basically what's called printing to the terminal, the hello world exclamation mark, which is what we see in the standard output. So a very simple way to play around with this is, well, what happens if I change this and I say just world? If I run that, then we see we just get world in the standard output. Ultimately, though, it's pretty difficult for me to guess what else I can do with the Rust language. So I guess it does allow me to play around with it, but not knowing much about the language at all, there's not much I can really do to experiment. So I'm going to back up, and I guess we can learn a little bit more about the language. Creating a new project. Okay, so this is how you create a new Rust project, which would require downloading it. Oh, and then you can create a small Rust application. So this is great. This is a way to start running with this and just building something quick. So let's actually start with downloading it. So the primary way that folks install Rust is through a tool called Rust Up. It looks like you're running Mac OS, which is true. So we can just copy and paste this and put it in our terminal. And that is going to download Rust. Looks like they're giving me 3 options: proceed with installation, or customize or cancel. Let's just proceed. And now it's doing stuff. While I don't understand everything that it says here, I do know that it is downloading the Rust language from the web. Okay, Rust is installed now. Great. To get started, you need cargo's bin directory in your path environment variable. Next time you log in, this will be done automatically. So to quote unquote relog in, I'm just going to quit my terminal and start it up again. Okay, here we are. Now let's go back to the website where it talks about the next step. So Cargo, the Rust build tool and package manager. When you install Rust up, you'll also get the latest stable version of the Rust build tool, blah, blah, blah. Cargo does lots of things. To test that you have Rust and Cargo installed, you can run this in your terminal of choice. So we'll copy and paste that. And the fact that it says Cargo 1.33.0 means we have that version of Cargo installed. So that's a good thing. So we can read the Cargo book, which we won't do at this time. Other tools, Rust support is available in many editors. I actually commonly use Sublime Text, so I have that already. You can install a code formatting tool, which might be useful for the future. Okay, let's get to the meat. Generating a new project. Let's write a small application with our new Rust development environment. To start, we'll use Cargo to make a new project for us. In your terminal of choice, run this. So before I do that, I just want to make a directory where this all can live. I'll call it Rust. I'll go into that directory. This way, everything I do here is located in a particular folder in my computer. And now we can say Cargo new hello Rust. So it looks like that worked. Created binary hello Rust package. And it says this will create a new directory called hello Rust with the following files. So let's see if that's true. If you're not familiar with what I'm doing in the terminal or what the terminal is, terminal is the way I can view files and folders and run other commands on my computer. So ls shows me what directories live in the directory that I'm currently in. So there's a hello Rust directory, and I will go into that directory. If I hit ls again, I can see that there's these files, cargo.toml and src. I'm going to load up Sublime Text. That's my text editor, so I can see all this here. So we have these two files. We have this folder called source, which has another file within it called main.rs. If we go back to our website, it says I should expect to have this hello Rust with cargo.toml and a source folder with main.rs in it, which is identical to what I have. I also have this git ignore thing, which is another thing we could get into at another time. And now it explains what's going on. Cargo.toml is the manifest file for Rust. It's where you keep metadata for your project as well as dependencies. As a software engineer, I've seen similar things with other languages, so I actually understand more or less what that's talking about. And then we have src/main.rs. That is this file here, which I'll load up by double clicking on it. This looks awfully familiar to what we saw on the Rust website when we were playing around with the code. So this src main.rs is where we'll write our application code. That's basically, this is where we're going to truly play around with what's going on. So Cargo new generates a hello world project for us. Now we already ran Cargo new, so this is what was generated. We can run this program by moving into the new directory that we made and running this in our terminal. So cargo run. So if we run cargo run, we see we get this output of hello world here in our terminal, which seems to indicate things are running correctly. You should see this in your terminal, and that is what we saw. Excellent.